Gentlemen, let us speak plainly. There exist individuals so profoundly toxic that one cannot help but ponder if they conceal demonic horns beneath their affable demeanor. Have you, in your years of wisdom, ever felt utterly drained merely from sharing a space with such a person, as though requiring a profound cleansing of the soul thereafter? Rest assured, you are not losing your grip on reality. At times, it transcends a mere negative aura. It is an orchestrated assault from darker forces, and the worst part is you like them. You trust them until you realize you're playing chess with the devil, and he's smiling, saying, "Your move." Today, I'll point out 5 clear signs that someone in your life isn't sent by angels. They are spiritual Trojan horses, designed to steal your peace, erode your self-worth, and make you doubt your sanity. Grab your coffee or holy water and settle in, for understanding these signs could spare you years of anguish and therapy bills. If you're ready to see through the mask, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. I've seen the signs. Together, we'll illuminate the shadows. Now, let's begin. The first sign: they encourage you to sin. We all know no one is perfect. We fall. We fail. Sometimes even drag ourselves into the mud. The wise acknowledge it. The stubborn deny it. But what's crucial is how those around us react when we stumble. Ethical people, true friends, won't rejoice in our failures. They'll point out errors frankly, even if it discomforts us, because they want us to rise. Consider this. Men of experience, they grasp that genuine care involves guiding others to confront hard truths, no matter the sting, for growth demands it. Yet, there lurks a far more perilous breed, not the overt troublemakers or boisterous rebels we instinctively avoid, but saboteurs cloaked in smiles. Veiling their motives in warmth and charm, they pose as confidants, merry companions, those who claim to know you better than anyone. Their tactics lie in subtlety. They don't tell you to ruin your life, but applaud when you do. Imagine you're striving for better health. You start eating clean, cutting sugar and alcohol. Then that friend smirks. "Come on, live a little. You're no fun anymore." They are the first to shove cake in your face at the party, the first to pour another drink even though you've said enough. They make you question your goals, turning discipline into something rigid or selfish. I recall a man I knew in my younger days. Let's call him Robert. Robert was charming. Everyone liked being around him. He had a contagious sense of humor that could lighten the mood. When I first quit drinking, trying to change my life, he was the first to say, "You're doing great, but one drink won't hurt. You deserve it." He often bought me a drink before I could refuse, toasting with an easy smile. At first, I viewed it as friendship. I convinced myself he supported me in his own way. But one night, after a binge, I swore off. I realized he didn't want me strong. He needed me weak. My sobriety forced him to face his own demons. As long as I drank, he avoided the mirror. That's the mindset of these people. They don't just tolerate your failures. They need them. Your mistakes validate their choices. Misery truly loves company, but especially the easily swayed. They can't admit they're lost, so they try to drag you along. They excel at disguising this under a veneer of kindness. They don't shout, "Be reckless." Instead, they murmur, "Don't be so hard on yourself." Just as you're about to repeat mistakes that once brought you low. The danger lies not only in that moment, but in the slow erosion of your resolve. Stoicism teaches that the mind is a fortress, one we must defend fiercely. As Epictetus wisely declared, "No man is free who is not master of himself." These individuals seek to leave your gates unguarded, your defenses lowered. For once you justify small compromises, you're easily led further astray. The tragedy is, they're not always comic book villains. Many are lost themselves, terrified of change. So they sabotage anyone who tries. They could be siblings, spouse, old friends, those who know your weaknesses, whom you trust enough to let your guard down. So how do we counter them? Not with anger or forcing their change. Stoicism instructs us to see them clearly, without illusion or excuse. Set boundaries calmly, but firmly. Choose your conversations. Reject their temptations, and decline invitations that misalign with your path. And when necessary, walk away, protecting your mind. Character and peace isn't selfish, it's essential. I share this not to breed paranoia, but to arm you with vigilance. Picture that person in your life who seems to revel in your lapses, praising your worst choices under the guise of camaraderie. Recognizing them is the first step. Next, we'll explore how to set clear, respectful, yet unbreakable boundaries, even if they're someone you hold dear, because love does not mean letting them lead you into darkness. The second sign, they dismiss your emotions and manipulate with deception. The most devastating manipulations often don't feel like coercion. They masquerade as care, love, even loyalty. This haunting truth dawns on most too late. These tactics aren't overt cruelty that makes you recoil and flee. They're subtle, deliberate distortions, gradually pulling you off course until you barely recognize yourself. Many of us have endured this unknowingly, blaming ourselves for being too sensitive or not understanding enough. It often begins with someone making you doubt your own judgment. They say things like, "You're overreacting," or "You're too sensitive," until you question your instincts. Perhaps you try sharing concerns about an unhealthy relationship or friendship, but instead of listening, they dismiss your feelings entirely. Worse still, they may insist they're protecting you while controlling who you see, where you go, or how you spend your time. This comes not with threats or loud arguments, but with a quiet insistence that they know better, that your happiness depends on following their lead. Men of wisdom, mark this. Such manipulation is insidious because it initially feels like care. I've seen men in their 50s and 60s, seasoned and discerning, reduced to walking on eggshells around someone claiming to love them. They stop seeing lifelong friends because it upsets their partner. They skip family gatherings to avoid conflict. Their world shrinks until the manipulator becomes the sole voice in their mind. This is a cold, psychological reality. The goal isn't to push you off a cliff, but to nudge you, step by step, until you're lost without realizing it. This behavior stems from insecurity and a thirst for power. Manipulators aren't content with freely given love. They crave loyalty. They can control. They make their opinions the only truth, twisting reality until you doubt yourself. They do this not with overt threats, but with subtle, almost kind manipulation. "I'm only trying to help. You know I want what's best. No one understands you like I do." Over time, you stop resisting, not because you agree, but because you're exhausted from the constant battle over truth. Stoicism offers clarity here. The Stoics teach that while we can't control others' actions, we must fiercely guard our minds. Epictetus said, "We are not disturbed by things, but by our view of them." The manipulator's aim is to seize that view, convincing you their reality is the only one. The solution is vigilance. Recognize their tactics and hold fast to reason, even when it's someone you deeply care for. This means relearning to trust your own perceptions and setting boundaries, even if they call you cold or selfish for it. It also means seeking relationships built on mutual respect, where disagreement isn't punished, and personal freedom is valued, not feared. If you see these signs, don't rush to self-blame. Manipulation is designed to be invisible. Noticing it is the critical first step to reclaiming your peace. Next, we'll discuss practical strategies to set firm yet compassionate boundaries, because protecting your mind isn't just self-defense, it's a profound act of self-respect and commitment to the life you deserve. The third sign they sow: discord and division. The most harmful people in our lives aren't always the loud, threatening ones or obvious enemies. Often, they pose as friends, drawing you close with feigned care, only to subtly plant seeds of doubt and fracture your relationships. These individuals are masters of covert sabotage. They turn intimate confidences into leverage, creating subtle cracks that widen over time. By the time you see the damage, they've moved on to a new act, cloaked in loyalty and concern. Observe their methods closely. They position themselves as your greatest advocate, urging you to confide, painting themselves as a safe harbor in the storm. But every secret you share becomes a carefully chosen tool for manipulation. They twist your fears into betrayals, fueling conflict while keeping their hands clean. Men of fortitude. Heed this: they thrive on chaos and division, as it places them at the center of your world as indispensable advisors or mediators. Their damage isn't always loud. It spreads through whispers, skeptical glances, and well-timed hints that question others' motives and loyalty. This isn't mere gossip or childish games. It's a profound form of control. By inserting themselves between your relationships, these manipulators ensure they hold the power to shape perceptions, deciding who's right, who's wrong, who's trustworthy, and who isn't. Over time, they become the gatekeepers of your connections, the lens through which you view your loved ones. Make no mistake, their aim isn't limited to fleeting friendships. Their preferred targets are marriages, families, lifelong bonds strong enough to threaten their control. Psychologically, they're driven by insecurity and a desperate need to feel significant. They can't stand seeing others form healthy, independent connections, as it pushes them from the spotlight. By sowing division, they create dependency. You turn to them for advice, clarity, or peace, and they provide just enough to keep the cycle going. This is predatory behavior, feeding on trust, love, and vulnerability. Stoicism urges us to guard our minds and judgments vigilantly. Marcus Aurelius warned that we must not let others' opinions rule us. But, discipline or perspective. This wisdom is vital when facing those who subtly sow discord. You must be ready to see their tactics, even if it pains you to admit a trusted confidant is unsafe. Step back and ask yourself, does this person bring clarity or confusion? Do they resolve conflicts or relish them? Are they invested in my well-being? Or do they want me reliant on them? The Stoic response isn't to play their game. confront with anger, or out-manipulate them that only deepens the trap. Instead, respond with calm awareness. Limit what you share. Refuse to let them pit you against others. Prioritize direct, honest communication with those you love. And if needed, create distance not out of spite, but to protect yourself and the relationships you cherish. Acknowledging someone's subtle harm isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the courage to demand transparency and respect in your closest bonds. Next, we'll explore how to set those boundaries without apology, because maintaining integrity in relationships isn't just personal choice, it's a duty to those who trust you most. The fourth sign: they drain your emotional reserves. Have you ever met someone who seemed like the answer to your prayers? A loyal friend, a kind neighbor, a family member who finally gets you. They appear when you're at your lowest, offering a listening ear, eager help, and promises of steadfast loyalty that make you feel secure. Yet, over time, their true nature emerges not through outbursts or overt betrayal, but through small, insidious ways, nearly imperceptible at first. They become experts at spotting your vulnerabilities and pressing on them, disguised as concern. They ask personal questions not to heal you, but to catalog your weaknesses. Men of experience. Take note: what feels like support slowly turns into an interrogation. I recall an older friend who faced this with a new acquaintance from church. At first, the man seemed a godsend, bringing groceries, checking on her health, volunteering for chores. She told me she felt blessed, especially after losing her husband. But over time, I noticed she spoke less with her grown children. She said they didn't understand her like he did. She skipped family dinners to spend time with him. If anyone questioned his intentions, she grew defensive. She insisted, "He's the only one there for me." But the truth was far darker. He subtly convinced her that her children were selfish, uncaring. He needed her isolated to control her world. This is how emotional predators operate, not with blatant malice, but with calculated care. They don't bare their fangs or reveal their nature. Instead, they present as compassionate, earning trust by making you feel heard in ways you haven't in years. They become indispensable, the first you call in sorrow, the first to share your joys. But each secret shared gives them more power. Their true aim isn't to support you, but to own you, ensuring your loyalty is theirs alone. They criticize those who love you, suggesting those relationships are toxic. They make you doubt your judgment, subtly shaming you for spending time with others. Psychologically, they thrive on creating emotional scarcity. By draining your confidence and severing other sources of love, they make you crave their approval. You apologize for imagined faults, bend your values to avoid their displeasure, take blame to keep the peace. The tragic irony is that while you strive to save the relationship, they don't meet you halfway. They demand your submission. It's a one-sided exchange that leaves you exhausted, demoralized, and hollow. Stoicism warns us to be vigilant gatekeepers of our minds and hearts. Marcus Aurelius wrote that our souls are colored by the thoughts we choose. When we let such people flood our lives with doubt and self-loathing, they don't just alter our mood, they reshape our essence. The Stoic solution is hard but vital. Face their impact with brutal honesty. Dare to see the relationship as it is, not as you wish it to be. Accept that some cannot be reasoned with or saved because they don't want change. If you feel drained, small, or weak around someone. That's not love or friendship. It's predation. The kindest act for yourself and them is to step back, reclaim your mind, your peace, and the self you were before their influence. Next, we'll discuss practical ways to build boundaries that protect you without falling into the manipulative traps you seek to escape. The fifth sign they instill a creeping dread, unease, and a foreboding sense of doom. It's a documented psychological truth. Anxiety and fear can spread like a virus through social bonds, infecting the mind. You don't need to be anxious by nature to feel swept into their worries. Prolonged exposure to someone who thrives on fear, who speaks of disasters and worst-case scenarios, can hijack your thoughts until they're no longer your own. It happens quietly, so subtly, you can't pinpoint when you lost yourself. You might even believe this shift in your spirit comes from age or a necessary caution life demands. But often, it's nurtured by an external force determined to keep you small, doubtful, and afraid. These people don't wave red flags. They come as friends, confidants, or family, claiming to act in your best interest. Their advice, disguised as wisdom, is sabotage. Instead of helping you weigh options, they fixate on every risk, paralyzing you. Rather than celebrating your goals, they question your ability and intent, planting self-doubt that spreads like weeds through every decision. They're not satisfied with your caution, they demand your compliance. For men of empathy or prudence, this is especially dangerous. We're trained to listen, reflect, and consider others' views. We hesitate to label someone negative when they claim honesty or realism, even as their truth strangles our hope. This isn't harmless pessimism. It's psychological manipulation designed to control. They craft a reality where you rely on their guidance to navigate an unsafe world they've conjured in your mind. Over time, your courage withers, your willingness to dream, take risks, or stand up for yourself fades. You apologize for wanting more, doubt the instincts that once guided you, and may even forget who you were before. The Stoics warned of this peril. Our thoughts are our only true domain, and we must guard them fiercely. Marcus Aurelius likened the mind to a canvas, colored by the ideas we allow. When you absorb fear and negativity, they don't just linger, they define you, staining your choices and worldview. This isn't about mood alone, it's about losing the power to chart your own path. If you find yourself living smaller, shying from risks you once faced, or seeing only danger and loss, question the voices you've let in. Do they clarify the world or cloud it with fear? Do they speak to free you from illusions or bind you to their acceptance? These questions aren't for the faint-hearted, as the answers often reveal betrayal masked as care. The Stoic response isn't to harden into apathy, but to cultivate clear mental boundaries. Choose who influences your life with care, distinguishing warnings born of love from those meant to manipulate. Learn to separate caution from paralysis, honesty from cruelty, vigilance from surrender. Reclaim your right to judge, decide, and live as the steward of your own destiny. Men of resolve, be honest. If these signs feel too familiar, it's time to stop giving chances to those who drain your spirit like emotional vampires at a feast. You weren't born to be a puppet or a punching bag. You deserve peace, clarity, and the freedom to walk your path without toxic whispers in your ear. Recognizing these saboteurs is the first step to casting them out of your life. 4. at the very least, showing them the door with a calm, "Well played, but not today." Adversary. If these truths stir or wound you, don't sit in silence. Subscribe to the channel and share in the comments which sign hit home hardest. Let's build a space to call out these deceptions and stand strong together. Trust me, once you see through their game, you'll never play it again. Stay vigilant, hold your spirit firm, and join me in the next video, where we'll keep exposing the shadows with clear-eyed truth and a touch of hard-won humor